is over.
It's been a really long time. We need to get best on best back of those big games where it's country against country and it becomes more than hockey.
Opening night of the Four Nations face-off.
Well, for me, it's Celebrini, McDavid, Wilson. I love that. I think that that's a really good line. I saw how they come together there. And the reason McDavid, who's going to have the biggest spotlight on him, he's going to shoulder a lot of the responsibility for this team, as he should, and he's ready to do. But Tommy Wilson on that right side of him.
This message became official. Connor McDavid was confirmed in Canada's Olympic leadership group. Auston Matthews remains the captain of Team USA. Both decisions were made just days before opening faceoffs in Milan. With NHL players returning after 12 years, leadership choices now shape the Olympic stage. Connor McDavid's appointment as alternate captain places him directly inside Canada's Olympic leadership group. McDavid plays center for the Edmonton Oilers and is participating in his first Olympic Games with NHL involvement. He did not compete in the 2018 or 2022 Winter Olympics due to the NHL's absence. Milan marks his first appearance at an Olympics featuring full NHL participation. Hockey Canada stated that the leadership structure of Crosby as captain, with McDavid and Cale Makar as alternates, was carried over from the Four Nations Face-Off tournament held earlier this year. During that tournament, Crosby wore the captain's C, while McDavid and Makar served as alternates. Canada defeated the United States in the final. Officials confirmed the same structure was retained for Olympic competition. Sidney Crosby was officially named captain of Team Canada before the team's first on-ice practice in Milan. Crosby is 38 years old and plays center for the Pittsburgh Penguins. This is his third Olympic Games. He previously captained Canada to gold at the 2014 Winter Olympics and scored the overtime goal that decided the gold medal game at the 2010 Vancouver Olympic. That goal has been referenced repeatedly in official Olympic coverage. McDavid's role as alternate captain reflects his position within Canada's roster and leadership planning. Before leaving for Olympic duty, McDavid recorded 21 goals and 48 assists in 49 NHL games during the 2025-26 season. Those numbers were confirmed by league statistics prior to the Olympic break. On the American side, USA Hockey announced that Auston Matthews will captain Team USA at the Milano-Cortina Games. Matthews is 28 years old and plays center for the Toronto Maple Leafs. This marks his first Olympic appearance as team captain. USA Hockey officials cited leadership continuity as a factor in maintaining the same captain and alternates. The announcement came shortly after the team arrived in Milan and completed its initial training session. Matthews entered the Olympics after recording 26 goals and 22 assists in 51 NHL games during the season. USA Hockey stated that leadership selections were based on international experience and recent tournament roles rather than regular season production alone. Matthews previously represented the United States in multiple World Championship events and international competitions. Hockey Canada confirmed that leadership responsibilities were finalized before Canada's first full practice. The federation stated that the group's previous experience together influenced the decision to maintain the same structure used in earlier international competition. During the Four Nations Face-Off tournament, Canada's leadership group guided the team through a condensed schedule similar to Olympic conditions. That tournament featured back-to-back games and limited recovery time. Officials referenced that experience when discussing leadership continuity. Hockey Canada outlined defined leadership roles. Crosby provides experience and game management. McDavid contributes pace, offensive structure, and transition play. Makar supports defensive execution and puck movement from the back end. Officials confirmed that responsibilities were assigned prior to competition. For Team USA, Matthews' captaincy places him at the center of American preparation. USA Hockey confirmed that Matthews will handle on-ice leadership duties during stoppages and bench communication. McAvoy and Tkachuk support defensive and physical play responsibilities. The leadership announcements marked a shift in tournament coverage. Media attention moved from roster speculation to competitive outcome. Olympic organizers organizers confirmed increased coverage for early group games involving Canada and the United States. Statistical tracking from international tournaments shows that leadership groups often log higher ice time during critical situations. Special teams deployment and late-game usage are influenced by captaincy assignments under IIHF rules. As opening face-offs approach, Olympic hockey enters its execution phase. With leadership confirmed and NHL participation restored, the tournament structure is now fully in place. McDavid's role alongside Crosby and Matthews' role for Team USA define the competitive framework ahead of elimination play. The confirmation of leadership groups established clarity. Preparation is complete. Tournament conditions are set. Olympic men's hockey now moves forward with captains named and responsibilities assigned.
Good luck, Team Canada. You've earned this moment. After long days and late nights, through discipline, sacrifice, and relentless effort, you're ready to compete at the highest level.
The wait is over. The biggest rivalry in hockey has reached the Olympic stage once again. Team Canada and Team USA arrive in Milan with full NHL rosters and clear goals. Captains are named. Lineups are set. Fans have been counting days for this moment. When Canada and the United States meet at the Olympics, history, pressure, and preparation collide.
Forward lines for Team Canada could potentially look like, but nothing set in stone yet.
Well, for me, it's Celebrini, McDavid, Wilson. I love that. I think that that's a really good line. I saw how they come together there. And the reason McDavid, who's going to have the biggest spotlight on him, he's going to shoulder a lot of the responsibility for this team, as he should, and he's ready to do. But Tommy Wilson on that right side of him.
The 2026 Winter Olympics in Milano-Cortina mark a major return for international hockey. For the first time since 2014, NHL players are competing in the Olympic Games. The league paused its season to allow full participation. This decision changed the level of competition immediately. Canada arrived with a roster built from elite NHL talent, international experience, and Olympic success. Team Canada officially named its men's Olympic roster on December 31st, 2025. The team includes 25 players, all with professional experience. The roster was selected by Hockey Canada after months of evaluation. The group combines veteran leadership, playoff-tested stars, and players with past international success. Sidney Crosby was named captain of Team Canada. The decision was announced before the team traveled to Milan. Crosby has won 2 Olympic gold medals in 2010 and 2014. He scored the overtime goal that decided the gold medal game at the 2010 Vancouver Olympics. His Olympic experience spans more than a decade. Canada's leadership group also includes alternate captains drawn from top NHL teams. These players have logged hundreds of playoff games. Several have worn the maple leaf in world championships and best-on-best tournaments. This structure gives Canada stability on the ice and clarity in decision-making during high-pressure moments. The Canadian roster is built around depth. Every line includes players who contribute at both ends of the ice. Defense pairs include puck-moving defensemen and physical shutdown players. Goaltending selections were based on recent NHL performance and international results. Hockey Canada confirmed that balance and consistency guided the final selections. Team USA also finalized its roster ahead of the games. USA Hockey selected a mix of veteran NHL players and younger skaters with recent international experience. The American roster emphasizes speed and transition play. Several players come from teams known for fast-paced systems in the NHL. Despite the strength of the U.S. lineup, Canada enters the matchup with historical advantage. Canada and the United States have faced each other multiple times in Olympic men's hockey. Canada won the gold medal game in 2010 and defeated the United States in the semifinals in 2014. Those games were decided by narrow margins. The Olympic schedule placed Canada and the United States in the same preliminary round group. This guarantees a group stage meeting before the knockout rounds. Group placement affects seeding and quarterfinal matchups. A win provides a measurable advantage in the tournament structure. Team Canada arrived in Milan following the NHL Olympic break. Players traveled within days of their last league game. Practices were held at Santa Giulia Arena. Coaching staff focused on adapting to international ice size and IIHF rule. These rules differ from the NHL in areas such as icing, overtime, and physical play. Canada's coaching staff, led by John Cooper, set clear expectations before the tournament. Cooper stated publicly that the goal was a gold medal. The message reflected Canada's approach to Olympic hockey. Performance standards were defined before the first practice. In the lead-up to the Olympic group stage meeting, players from both sides addressed the rivalry. The statement was published in international coverage ahead of the game. Canada's preparation emphasized discipline and structure. Practices focused on special teams, execution, and defensive zone coverage. Coaching staff monitored player workload due to the quick transition from NHL play to Olympic competition. The Canadian roster includes multiple players with over 100 NHL playoff games. Several have won Stanley Cups. This experience is critical in short tournaments where mistakes carry immediate consequences. Team USA's roster includes players who recently competed in IIHF World Championships. USA Hockey stated that roster balance and defensive depth were priorities. Their preparation focused on speed through the neutral zone and quick puck movement. Olympic group standings are decided by points, goal differential, and head-to-head results. The Canada-USA game directly affects these metrics. A rhyming of the matchup adds pressure. The game takes place early in the tournament, shortly after both teams' opening win. Analysts noted that early results often influence confidence and tactical adjustments in later rounds. Broadcasters projected increased viewership based on previous Olympic meetings. Security and staffing were increased for the game due to expected attendance and media presence. Olympic officials confirmed additional measures for high-profile rivalry matchups. Statistical tracking after the opening games showed Canada near the top of the tournament in shots allowed and face-off percentage. These metrics were released in official Olympic summaries. Canada's roster stability contrasts with the rapid pace of Olympic scheduling. With lines and pairings established early, the team minimized experimentation. This approach reflected confidence in roster selection. The Canada-USA Olympic matchup does not decide a medal. It does not eliminate either team. It shapes the path forward. It defines standing, seeding, and momentum as the tournament progresses. For Team Canada, the objective remains unchanged. Preparation, depth, leadership, and execution guide every decision as the rivalry resumes on Olympic ice in Milan.
On this Sunday night, after a 12-year break, NHL players return to the Olympics.
Excited to be here, definitely.
With Olympic gold on the line, Sidney Crosby is named Team Canada captain.
Two captains were chosen, and Olympic hockey changed instantly. One decision came from the United States. The other came from Canada. NHL players are back after 12 years away, and leadership is now locked in. What happens next will shape every game, every matchup, and every medal race that follows. The Olympic men's ice hockey tournament in Milan entered a new phase after leadership announcements from the two most watched teams. The United States named Auston Matthews as captain. Canada named Sidney Crosby. Both decisions were confirmed by national federations and reported by Reuters. The appointments came days before competition began, with NHL players returning to the Olympics for the first time since 2014, and attention quickly followed. USA Hockey announced that Matthews will lead the American roster at the Milano-Cortina 2026 Winter Game. The decision kept the same leadership group used during the Four Nations Face-Off tournament earlier this year. Charlie McAvoy and Matthew Tkachuk were also named alternate captains. That group represented the United States in a tournament that ended with a loss to Canada in the final, and the structure now carries into Olympic play. Matthews is 28 years old and plays center for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Before leaving for Olympic duty, he recorded 26 goals and 22 assists in 51 NHL games this season. USA Hockey confirmed that this will be Matthews' first Olympic appearance as team captain. Team officials stated that the leadership group was selected based on previous international experience and recent tournament roles, and the announcement came shortly after the team arrived in Milan. The United States held its first on-ice practice at the Santa Giulia Arena, the primary venue for the men's tournament. According to tournament schedules released by Olympic organizers, Team USA will open group play against Latvia. Practices were held with full NHL participation, marking the league's official return to Olympic competition after a a 12-year absence. On the same day, Hockey Canada confirmed its captain. Sidney Crosby was named to lead the Canadian men's team. Crosby is 38 years old and plays center for the Pittsburgh Penguins. This will be his third Olympic game. He previously captained Canada at the 2014 Winter Olympics and scored the gold medal-winning goal at the 2010 Games in Vancouver, a moment referenced repeatedly in official coverage. Hockey Canada stated that the trio had already worked together during the Four Nations face-off tournament, and the structure was maintained heading into the Olympics. Canada's roster was finalized in late December after an initial 6-player announcement earlier in the year. Both teams arrived in Milan within days of the announcements. NHL players from across the league joined national camps as Olympic competition approached. With captains now confirmed, attention shifted from roster selection to performance, and the tournament moved closer to its opening face-offs. The leadership announcements also highlighted the broader shift taking place inside Olympic hockey. NHL participation returned after the league reached agreements allowing players to compete in the Winter Games for the first time since 2014. According to NHL and Olympic officials, 148 NHL players are participating in the men's tournament in Milan, with more than 120 making their Olympic debut. That return reshaped team expectations immediately. On the American side, USA Hockey emphasized stability. According to Reuters, team management viewed recent international chemistry as a factor in maintaining the same structure entering Olympic play. The United States men's team has not won Olympic gold since 1980. That fact has been referenced repeatedly in coverage surrounding the NHL's return. With Matthews leading the roster, Team USA Open preparations focused on international ice dimensions, rule adjustments, and condensed scheduling. Practices in Milan followed a compressed timeline as teams adjusted quickly. Olympic officials confirmed that fighting is prohibited under international rule, consistent with past Olympic tournaments. NHL players entering the games were briefed on officiating standards, penalties, and discipline policies ahead of competition. That adjustment applied to all teams equally as tournament play approached. Canada and the United States were placed in separate preliminary groups, meaning a potential meeting would only occur during elimination rounds. Schedules released by organizers showed both teams facing multiple opponents before advancing to quarterfinal play. Seeding and point totals from group matches will determine advancement. As the tournament moved closer to its opening games, team arrivals, practices, and leadership confirmations dominated coverage. NHL players settled into Olympic villages and training facilities. With captains named and rosters locked, the focus shifted away from selection and toward results, and the next phase of Olympic hockey officially began.
The Oilers poured it on, but come out empty-handed, lose their third straight into the break for Edmonton.
I don't know. There's many things that are part of it. Not consistent enough. Can't defend. Penalty kill is not great. We're just giving up too many goals. I think there's saves that our goalies need to make at some point. This league's too hard, to just like lollygag through games. You need everybody. It starts with coaches. You're never going to win if you have 4 or 5 guys going. It starts at the top. We can be better. Our leaders can be better. We're not the same team. We're not as good right now. We're not even close. We need to understand that. It's time. Obviously, there's a break now, but when we come back, we gotta get going.
Something feels off in Edmonton. The Oilers walked into the Olympic break carrying more than just losses. Back-to-back defeats. A rivalry loss at home. Public frustration from inside the locker room. Numbers that no contender wants attached to their season. The break arrived, but the problems did not stop. And what surfaced in the final games raised concerns that cannot be ignored. The Edmonton Oilers reached the Olympic break after consecutive losses that followed the same pattern. The most recent defeat came against the Calgary Flames in the Battle of Alberta. Edmonton scored early and stayed close, but the game turned late. Calgary scored the deciding goal in the final period, and the Oilers could not respond before time expired. Leon Draisaitl scored twice in that game, providing most of Edmonton's offense. Kasperi Kapanen also found the net. Calgary received scoring from multiple players, including the goal that settled the game. The Oilers allowed key chances late, and Calgary goaltender Devin Cooley stopped repeated attempts during the final push. That loss followed a defeat against the Toronto Maple Leafs at home. Toronto controlled long stretches of play and scored several times from different players. Edmonton managed goals from Jake Wallman and Kasperi Kapanen, but the response ended early. After falling behind, the Oilers struggled to regain momentum and spent long periods defending. Across these games, the same issues appeared. Edmonton allowed goals at critical moments. Defensive coverage broke down near the net. Opponents converted on special teams. These problems were not isolated to one game. They continued through the final stretch before the break. The Oilers' penalty kill declined during this period. Opposing teams scored during power play, often shifting the flow of game. Edmonton's power play, usually a strength, did not offset those goals against. When chances came, the timing favored the opposition. Goaltending also became part of the discussion. Tristan Jarry faced steady pressure in recent games. Goals were allowed during high-danger moments. Saves were made, but stops did not always come when momentum was on the line. As games tightened, the margin for error disappeared. After the loss to Calgary, Leon Draisaitl spoke openly. He said the team lacked consistency and